Welcome. I didn't really know what to expect when I stood on this trail just a little bit ago, over the course of the last 15 minutes, but very uncomfortable feeling. We're a year today. What I've seen over this course of the last years are memories and times and comments and things that will stand with me and live with me for the rest of my life.
Hello everybody. So today I'm here with week 3 of Mystery Monday. I'm really excited because I'm just excited that this series is really kicking off and it really has a really good start, I think. So today is going to be the first very serious case that I am covering in Mystery Monday. It's about the unsolved murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Now, these murders took place in Delphi, Indiana, and it's currently an open case. It's been about a year, and they were found on February 14th, 2017. So it's been almost 2 years since their murders. And really, the police have been clear that the case is far from cold, but there's not really a ton of answers that the public has right now. And this case really garnered a lot of social media attention and a lot of, pop culture buzz in the internet communities, in internet communities, because there's a really interesting element to this case, and it's that Libby German actually recorded quite a bit of information before their deaths and possibly during their deaths, and we'll get into that a little bit later. On Monday, February 13th, 2017, Abby and Libby were both dropped off at a hiking trail by Libby's older sister, Kelsey. This was a hiking trail near Monone High Bridge. Now, a couple hours later, there wasn't a specific time for this, but the girls did not arrive when they were supposed to be picked up. So this brought a lot of concern to their families, and they immediately called and reported them as missing. They were reported missing at 5:30 p.m. On Monday evening, there was a search conducted where the woods near the hiking trail, as well as the hiking trail itself, were searched by police and volunteers. Now, the search was eventually called off due to darkness. And Toby Lesenby, the county sheriff, released a statement saying that there was really no concern at this point. There was no foul play in the discussion. There was no foul play, concerns of foul play. The only big concern that the police had at that time was exposure to the elements. On Tuesday, February 14th, 2017, there was a search that was started on Tuesday morning. So right away, they got back to searching. And this actually involved K-9 units and dive teams were added to this search. And at noon, they found 2 bodies a half a mile away from the bridge. Now, at 2 p.m. that same day, police gave a statement saying that they weren't going to officially disclose the identity of the bodies, but that foul play was in fact suspected. And then at 4 p.m., the superintendent, Gregory Biles, actually was the first person to link the 2 bodies to Abby and Libby. He actually sent out a statement to the school saying that there were going to be counselors available for kids and all this stuff, and that Abby and Libby's bodies were found. Now, the police didn't actually confirm this until the next day, and at 7 p.m. there was a vigil held for the 2 girls. So we have a missing persons case that really quickly turns into a murder investigation. It is investigated as a double homicide, and we're just going to go ahead and cover kind of the 6 big tenets or areas that involved the investigation of this case so far, or with information that's been made aware to the public. Now, within this case, there has been quite a lot released to the public. However, the police are very clear that there's a lot of information that they're withholding, and that makes sense. We'll go into that a little bit later. But, so the first kind of tenet of the investigation was the autopsy. On Wednesday, February 15th, the autopsies were conducted of the 2 bodies that were found a half mile from the bridge. At this point, police officers hadn't confirmed the identities. You have the superintendent saying that it was Abby and Libby, but the police didn't actually confirm until 3 p.m. of the same day that the autopsies were conducted that the bodies were in fact of Abby and Libby. Now, to this day, there's been no autopsy information released to the public. Now, to the point where not even the cause of death has been released to the public. So that is all that's all being held very close to investigators' chest, and that completely makes sense. You have information, if you just think about other murder cases, recently you have the Black Dahlia, where, her cause of death was very explicit in how her body was found. However, there were elements of her autopsy that were not released in order to kind of aid the investigation because if you have somebody who knows very specific things about the bodies, now that's a red flag for a suspect. So police don't necessarily want to release all information hoping that they might be able to flag down a suspect. So that makes sense that there's been no autopsy information that has been released to the public so far. So that's kind of the reasoning behind the autopsy. So yeah, to this day there's no information from the autopsy known except for that the bodies were Abby and Libby's. So the second really big tenet of this case that I kind of discussed a little bit in the intro was Libby's cell phone. Now this has been confirmed by police to have held a lot of information with regards to the case, and actually it's been also clear that there's been some information that was on her cell phone that has not been released to the public. So we're just going to go through all of that. The first piece of evidence that was released from Libby's phone was a photo and Snapchat of the man who is now the main suspect in the investigation. So on February 15th, police released a photo taken from her phone of a man. Now at first they just said that they wanted to talk to him, that he wasn't a suspect in the case, and that people should be careful not to just be pointing the finger at everybody, to be seeking out this man. They just wanted to talk to him and get some information. Like, I think at that point they probably thought he was just a hiker on the same trail possibly. He could have just been like on the same trail the same day. Like, he didn't necessarily have any implication in the case. Now, it wasn't until a few days later on February 19th that police confirmed that the man in the photo was the prime suspect in the investigation and that there was now a statewide manhunt for that individual in the photo. So he quickly becomes a full-on suspect, and to this day police don't know who he is. And actually the statewide manhunt was announced on February 20th, 2017. On February 27th, authorities also released a recording from Libby's phone. Now, this has been very clear that it is a segment of a longer recording and that they do not want to release the rest of the public, so there's just a lot of speculation online as to what that could be. I mean, I'm not going to really delve into that because, I mean, one, I don't think it's any of my business, and two, I think it's a little disrespectful. But there was a segment released, and it has a man saying "down the hill." Now, police were releasing this to see if anybody recognizes the voice and could possibly throw in a tip. So this is the recording here.
Down the hill. Down the hill. Down the hill. Down the hill.
Somebody knows this voice. Somebody has to know who this guy is. We are begging you to come up and to come forward.
So this kind of brings us into the third element of the investigation. Now, the FBI got involved very quickly with this case. The day after the audio was released on February 23rd, 2017, police announced that the FBI was going to be taking over the tip hotline. Now, following this, investigators in Indiana worked closely with police to develop a sketch of the suspect, and that was also released to the public. So the suspect is a white male between heights 5 feet 6 inches and 5 foot 10 inches. He is between 180 to 220 pounds, and he has reddish brown hair. That is kind of where the FBI involvement kind of is at publicly right now. They are currently helping in the investigation, so that's basically the biggest piece of information that's come out of the FBI helping. The fourth kind of area of this investigation is a man named Ron Logan. Now, on Friday, March 17th, 2017, a warrant was granted to search Ron Logan's home and property.
Investigators executed a search warrant at the home of this man, Ron Logan, who owns the property where the bodies of 13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were found. Cops took away a white Ford pickup truck during the search.
Who is safe here or anywhere else anymore?
Ron Logan is now in custody on an unrelated probation violation. I recently spoke to him about the murders.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
He told me he has an alibi, buying tropical fish 20 miles away. Police have not revealed what led them to search his home, but said in a statement, "We basically are here to try to eliminate him or put him as a higher suspect in our case." Ron Logan told me he is devastated by the discovery of the bodies on his property.
That was like being hit with a bolt of lightning on my property. I mean, you just can't put words to it.
There isn't a lot as to if anything was found, but I'm not sure if that information just hasn't been released or if there wasn't anything found, so just a heads up there. Now, as a quick note, the search on Ron Logan's property was not the only search conducted in regards to this case. There was a search conducted the day after the autopsy at an unnamed home in Indiana, in Delphi, Indiana, but there was nothing of significance found, and there was no suspects arrested. So the fifth biggest break in the case was a man named Daniel Nations, and this is actually really weird because he was arrested really close to where, actually like right next door to where I live, maybe 20 minutes away from where I live. So in September of 2017, there was a man named Daniel Nations arrested in Colorado. He was arrested in Woodland Park for threatening people with a hatchet on a hiking trail, so that's pretty horrifying. At the time of his arrest, he was a registered sex offender, he had expired Indiana license plates, and he strongly resembled the man in the photo. And on Friday, September 29th, it was confirmed by Indiana authorities that 2 detectives were sent to Colorado to interview Daniel Nations with regards to the Libby and Abby case. They found out actually that at the time of their murders, he was living homeless in Indiana. Now, on October 11th, 2017, his wife spoke out about his innocence. On January 5th of this year, 2018, he was convicted in regards to the Woodland Park incident, and he was sentenced to 3 years in jail. And then following that, on January 24th, he was transferred to Indiana for failing to register as a sex offender. So there hasn't been much information regarding this, but in late February of 2018, police confirmed that he was no longer a suspect and he was not a person of interest and on their radar anymore. So there hasn't really been an official reason given for this, but it's just been made very clear by police that he doesn't fit the bill for the crime. It wasn't him. Then the final bit of the investigation, and the most recent one of the most recent things brought to light for the public, is that the search, the manhunt for the man in the photo has actually been expanded nationwide. So it's a nationwide manhunt for the man in the photo. It's no longer kind of limited to the state, so I guess the police have reason to believe that he has left Indiana at this point. So next I would like to touch on a theory. There's only been one really big theory in regards to this case. And I mean, this case is, it's not like the Gene Spangler case where there's been a lot of time for people to kind of develop theories, and also there's not a lot of information for people to develop theories either. So the biggest theory involves an article that was posted on July 18th, 2018, and this article states that police have not really been confirming whether or not this Indiana case was related to another Indiana case. Now, that other Indiana case was related to the rape and murder of a little girl named April Tinsley in Indiana. Now, police were very forthcoming and they just wouldn't comment on the connection at all, so that just kind of led people to believe, well, if they're not going to comment on it, there must be some form of connection. In addition to that, some of the investigators that were working on the Abby and Libby case also previously worked on the Tinsley case, so a lot of people were trying to draw connections between the two, especially in online communities. They were trying to figure out some answers in a case that has quite a bit of information but no real huge answers. Now, while the investigators are working very closely with the April Tinsley investigators, and they're using very similar DNA techniques, it's pretty much all but confirmed that the April Tinsley case is not related. Now, there doesn't seem to be much more in common other than just some coincidences. In July of this year, actually, the suspect was arrested, and this was after the article was posted, so there wasn't quite an update there. Now, he was arrested, and he right away admitted to killing April Tinsley when he was arrested. Police showed up to his house, and he said something along the lines of, I know why you're here because of April Tinsley. And it was pretty much, he confessed, and he's going to trial in February 2019. So he hasn't, I feel like if he was connected, he would say something, especially if he's that open about having killed April Tinsley. And also, I don't think investigators working on similar cases in Indiana, is an indicator, because I mean, there's only so many investigators to work on so many different cases in Indiana, so that just makes sense. So I don't necessarily see any basis in this theory, but I just wanted to discuss it. So in conclusion, there have been no new leads up to this point, but authorities are very clear that this case is far from cold, so that just signifies that there's a lot of information not being released publicly. So if you're concerned about updates for this case, I plan on doing a Mystery Monday update video for all of my Mystery Mondays on February 25th, 2019. However, if any updates come before that, you can check the description box and I will make sure to update. I will probably be checking monthly to bi-monthly, so if you want to just check in and see if there has been any updates, I'll let you know if I found any updates, if I haven't found any updates, because I mean, I know how hard it is for these cases. And this one where it's an active investigation right now, it's not cold, it's still far from cold, like I just said. So there was a Light Up Delphi campaign across the state of Indiana where homeowners installed orange light bulbs on their porches to kind of signify not only in memoriam for the two girls, but to also signify that the case was still open and being investigated and that the suspect is at large.
Ben and Julia, good morning to you. Here all across downtown Delphi, you'll find these purple and teal ribbons just like this. These were the favorite colors of Libby and Abby. They are all over the downtown area right here, marking this one-year anniversary. Video also shows how last night hundreds came together for a candlelight vigil at the Delphi United Methodist Church, also to remember Libby and Abby. And we also heard from state police yesterday updating the case on the one-year anniversary. They say they still remain confident that killer will be found.
Also, there is a softball memoriam park dedicated to both girls in the works right now, being constructed right now. So you can go ahead and find all of the information for that in the description box down below if you're interested in donating or you want to get more information. Now, the reward for the man in the photo has passed $240,000. So it's $240,000 plus. And the tip line for any information regarding that man, regarding the case at all, is 844-459-5786. And there's also a tip email that I will put on screen and that will be linked in the description box down below. Now, a really good resource for this and to keep updated on this is abbyandlibby.org. It's an amazing source. It's an amazing resource, especially for information regarding this case, to get information to the families and to the authorities with regard to this case. It has an outline of all the case events. It has the suspect recording. It has a suspect picture. It has wanted posters. It's just amazing how the families have come together to really just get justice for Abby and Libby. It's just so sad. When I was researching this, I was getting really, really upset by it because I mean, these were two middle school girls. Like they were the same. They were around the same age as my. They were the same age. Yeah, they were the same age as my little sister when they went missing and died. And it's just so sad to know that two girls who were just at the beginning of their life, honestly, at the beginning of their life and finding out who they were, how they could just who would kill two girls? That's ridiculous. God, people are the worst. I can't even wrap my head around that kind of mind, and it just frustrates me to no end. And I really hope that they find him and throw him in jail, kill him. I don't know. I hope they get rid of him, cause ew. But it's just this case is really important, and it's really important to keep cases like this and to give them media attention. So please, please, please either share this video, share any other video about it, share information about the case. It's just really important to keep cases like this in the public eye because that's the only way cases can really that's the only way to kind of get information. That's the only way to really keep the case investigation going, because media attention, it means a lot. It means a lot to these cases, and it means a lot to getting resources towards these cases. It means a lot for resources, it means a lot for tips. So please, please, please just do whatever you can to bring more attention to this, because at the end of the day, two girls were killed in Indiana and nobody knows. The killer is still at large, out roaming, doing whatever he's doing, and it's terrible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this third Mystery Monday. I'm really, really excited. We have a couple really amazing videos planned. I'm sorry if there's any weird blinking. My light's being really, really weird right now. So if you really like this Mystery Monday, go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe and a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any information. Let me know just anything. Let me know if you have a Mystery Monday suggestion you want me to talk about in the future. We have some really, really amazing stuff coming up. I really want to take this series in a more cinematic area, so I'm really, really excited about some of the videos that are coming up end of September and into October. But I will see you guys next time. I'll see you guys later this week with a new video. Okay, bye!